Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod with Andri Cay with us today. Hendrik is the co-founder at Essentia Food. He's revolutionizing our seafood system with mycelium. He's the co-founder at Essentia Food since a year and 8 months, so it's a new startup. He's a mercenary turned missionary. It's quite interesting. He's live from Berlin, which is a cool startup capital in the world. I've been there. It's a very colorful city. Really love it. This podcast is brought to you by podpar.com, which is my agency. If you want to start, scale, or be invited to podcasts like this one, you can go to podpar.com for this. Hendrik, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and Essentia.
Hi, Charles. Many thanks for having me. So, yeah, you already made kind of the perfect introduction. So indeed, I have a commercial background, started my career as in merchant acquisitions at Deloitte, then switched to Emma Mattress, which was also a small startup when I joined, was chief of staff and then part of the wider management. And it's a company selling mattresses online, right? And I was part of making it big. So when I joined, there were 85 people. When I left, there were 650. So it's a growth of the magnitude of 8 in just 2.5 years. I then left and thought, like, what should I now do with like the knowledge I acquired and the way like how to run and grow a business? And I left. I looked at the food system. I looked at the system, like what is broken in our world, and I figured out, well, food is quite something broken. And I also changed my personal diet, becoming almost vegetarian. And at that time, I was meeting my co-founder Bruno, who was a PhD in biophysics and also worked as a chef. So for him, it was really about like bringing cooking and science together. While for me, I still have my personal problem of still eating like fish. And I interviewed quite a couple of vegetarians. And when I asked, do you still eat fish? They were coming about to me like, yeah, a bit. So that's in the end what led to the creation of Essentia Foods.
Nice. And tell me about the mycelium technology that you guys use.
Yeah, so mycelium, these are the roots of fungi. So basically, if you have a mushroom, like the mushroom you know from the supermarket, that's just what you would scientifically call the fruiting body, like any other fruit, right? It grows. And on the other hand, you also have the roots, which is the mycelium. That's the network. What is really crazy about this network of mycelium is that it basically grows through the whole forest, for example. So some scientists even say that trees communicate through the mushroom network, through mycelium. But anyhow, so what we are doing is that we use this microorganism to convert a food stream. What does it mean? So we use legumes, we added the mycelium to it, and in the end, this microorganism, like you and I, we're also organisms, right? So what this microorganism does is converting the food stream into something else. It's like you and me eating, or a fish eating, and converting what the fish eats into muscle. And basically, we use I would say, at a high level, similar process to this.
So I know people just buy a portobello mushroom and fry it and call it a day. Why should they buy your product?
I mean, I would love to invite you, Charles, for having portobello mushrooms. And I think it's a great thing to eat, no? But you don't want to have them for lunch and dinner every day. So, and we all need diversity. That's the simple answer here.
So it's a taste I get. It's the mixing of ingredients. It's a specific formula that makes the texture and the taste like fish. If I'm not mistaken, you're going for fish first. You also have shrimp in there.
Yes, indeed, we're going for fish first, for whitefish. We prototyped a vegan shrimp. That was also quite good. It needs a bit more work. So I think here it's interesting. What do I say when it needs work? So it's really nothing artificial, right? It's this food stream, it's a mycelium, it converts it to a product. We add some natural aromas, we're done. Like not any crazy number chemicals, right? But the shrimp, it still needs like tuning, so it makes a difference whether you grow this mycelium for 2 hours more or less, and it makes a difference how you steer the temperature in the process. So these are like the factors, like the nature or the environment surrounding the mushrooms we optimize. And if I can add one more point, it's we're also starting with, we built the first 2 meat prototypes, also meat analogs. That's something where I said, wow, was quite a fast development, right? Because once you figured out how to steer it, yeah, it's interesting how versatile and adaptable it is.
So you said whitefish, but I see some salmon in there, do I?
Yeah, that's another prototype we built. You're very right about this, Charles. For sure. I mean, for us, it's important to have one focus, that's the whitefish, but it's also important to prove and check the versatility. It's a little bit, yeah, I would say a startup is a risk bundle on a conceptual level, and you want to de-risk it. You want to see that you can go for one thing, you do it very well, but you also need to see whether your technology works at a certain scale already from day one, right? And if you want to utilize the scale, you cannot stay within your niche. You need to go beyond it. So that's also why you see like the shrimps, why you see the salmon, why you also see 2 meat prototypes.
Love it. Do you use a separate mushroom breed for that salmon, just for the color? How do you go with color? Is it like one mushroom that's used for all, or do you use a separate mushroom breed for the types of fish and shrimp?
So at the moment we use one mushroom breed for all.
Which is
the one thing I cannot reveal.
the no, not the portobello. Maybe the lion's mane, who knows? Tell us about the nutrients, because like lion's mane is super nutritious. Me, I'm a mushroom fiend, like I get my own chaga when I'm in Montreal, in Canada. I consume good amounts of lion's mane and reishi. So tell us about the nutrients. How do you get them in? Do you add nutrients, or do you get them mostly for your main shroom?
So we get the nutrients in a natural way. So basically, it's in the food side stream, and also partially comes from the mycelium. So we have about 11 grams plus per 100 grams of product, right? In terms of protein. We add omega-3. That's also important for fish through oil. Yeah, and we have a full vitamin D profile also coming from the mycelium directly. Very interesting also that you mentioned the lion's mane, because it's like a rather exotic mushroom. Maybe it's more popular in Canada. I don't know. But in Europe, it's not so common.
Yeah, lion manes is huge here. I think I also got it naturally at some point in the mountains. So it's a good adaptogen as well, for stress, So is stress more common here? Who knows? Okay, so we've got the texture, we've got the nutrients, we've got the color. What else do you add in there apart from that mushroom? There's omegas that you add. What do you add additives for the taste? Because most mushrooms already have a fishy taste.
There are indeed some mushrooms that have a fishy taste, but we're not using them. So at the moment, I mean, as I said already, you can only do certain things in the beginning, especially if you have limited capital and you want to bring a product to market. Otherwise, you will start like a never-ending R&D project. So regarding the aromas, we work with aromas from the industry. However, these are natural aromas. And one thing we are going for is, using, I would say, different ways to incorporate aromas going forward. That's a high priority on our product development and research list. Why? Because in the end, the product is defined by exactly this, the aroma and the texture. So I would say the texture, we're nailing it. The aroma, that has room for improvement. And that's what will happen before the official launch.
How much did you get in funding? Like $500,000?
Yes, about that. Yeah.
Okay. So you have a small team, right? Like your co-founder. What are the roles in the team?
So I'm wearing the commercial hat. My co-founder is the CTO. responsible for the science and product development. We have 2 full-time employees, Karen and Francesca, doing one is focusing on the science of fungi and fermentation, while the other one is a product developer, like food product developer from a background, both with multiple years of experience. So basically, we got this whole cycle covered from like research and lab towards scaling.
Do you need research? Isn't the research already out there, or is it's like a new field?
I think the question here is like, what is research and what is research? So what we don't do is any like fundamental new research in the sense that we don't, I would say, expand the borders of the universe.
Yeah, it's commercial research used for the startup and your product.
Exactly, but it's commercial research, and there's a lot that needs to be done. So there's certain stuff discovered in academia that has never been done at scale, or that has been applied to materials but never applied to food products. And food products certainly require different conditions, require different treatment, require different optimizations. So that's the part of research what we're doing, and that we also file a patent for.
Pretty cool. So you rent labs, you rent the equipment as well to do all of this?
We rented the space and we bought the equipment. So I mean, renting a lab, you can for sure do this. It's can be quite expensive.
Startup idea.
Another idea, yeah. And well, for us, having our own space was important because you can just move faster, and it's all about speed.
These machines can be quite expensive. It's machines to grow shrooms on a commercial level.
That's the beauty of our process, no? And that's also where we are very distinct. So you can, if you look into this world of mycelium startups, you have more like the liquid state fermentation breed of startups, right? And the solid state fermentation startups. And we are using this latter process, which requires way less capex, and also at lab scale, the machinery is far less like expensive. Also, I think like Bruno and I were both fans of buying stuff used. We were always as children starting to sell our stuff on like platforms like eBay, right? And you finally, if you look around a bit, you also find used lab equipment for 30-40% of the price.
And then there's the actual formula. So once you grow the shrooms, you take that and you chop it all up, you mix it with something else, and then you get the final fish. Like, is that how it works?
So what we do is basically you need to imagine a tray, like a pizza tray, right? And on this pizza tray, we grow a cake. I'm trying to abstract it here a lot so that it's easily comprehensible. And this cake already has a predefined texture, and we can cut a whole cut that's out of the cake, right? Never thought about it actually. A whole cut and cut makes a lot of sense, no? But well, from this cake, we cut the whole cut off. We add the aromas, we pack it, and we're done.
But it's not baked, right? Because the cake analogy is like, it's not baked yet.
It's not baked, no.
It's not baked because yet it's like heating it on the grill would have me a nice fish at the end. So, the texture, how challenging has it been? Because the fish, well, the best of fishes, they have such tender texture. And I see that on your Insta, you posted literally like sashimi. So you're taking big risk there. It's like, yeah, the best of the best texture. So how challenging has it been?
Depends on the fish species that you look at. So when you say we focus on whitefish, we actually specifically focus on monk and hake, where we were becoming like pretty close, especially in the microtexture. We still have some work ahead of us. I wouldn't say we're 100% done, but we are definitely 10x compared to what you see on the market due to this novel process. And I would say for these 2 species, we're nailing it. For the others, at least we know how to get there. And I think that already sets us apart.
You eat your product every day?
And not every day, but quite often. It's quite funny. We were at an event last week, Thursday night, and we had quite some leftovers, right? And my co-founder took them home. So he and friends and his girlfriend, they were like savoring it the whole weekend. So we really built something we like. I think it's important from the first day on.
And you test all the nutrients, you test the bacteria, you test for contamination and all of that.
So we regularly test for contamination. That's just important. Well, we also tested for nutrients, not every sample, because nutrients, I mean, they change, right? So with changes in the conditions and also changes in the measuring, it's super interesting. It's fascinating for me as a business person how complex nutrient testing can become. The 5 standard methods. Imagine that for something that is like simple on the package. Yes, but we do test for all of this externally.
Could you offer like parts of your formula or building these formula as a service for top food brands out there like Nestle for funding instead of going for VC funding? You just charge them $1 million for a pilot quarterly project?
No, we don't. I mean, the goal is to grow big. And if you sell a formula to Nestle for $1 million, then you sell probably a slightly different formula for $1 million to someone else. And in the end, I don't think you can build a proper and big business with it. On the other hand, are we open to cooperate with them? Yes, for sure, but not by selling the formula, rather by selling either the product or the like semi-finished product, I would say, the biomass.
The premise of this startup is that there's a huge problem in this world. We're starting to be aware of the fish farms, which are kind of disgusting, you know. And the salmon, for example, is lower and lower in the nutrient scale. We've depleted the oceans of fish, you know, and the planet is not doing super good. How do you plan fixing that?
So first of all, let me preempt one thing. Overall, I think it is okay to eat fish. It is okay to eat meat, but not at the scale that we're doing it. Yeah. So how do we plan on fixing it? By offering a really good natural alternative. And with this also raising the awareness at the customers. Yeah, so that's the answer in short. Fish farming is indeed very disgusting. I think if you have ever been at a professional fish farm and you see like all the chemicals that are being put into the fish. Also, salmon that we eat is colored, no? Like the salmon eat colors so that it turns orange in the end. It's crazy. That's the problem we were fixing. No.
Capitalism taken too far, I guess. When do you have plans to start commercializing and deploying your first mass market product?
So the first product, definitely end of next year. But that's not mass market. That's a couple of restaurants, right? If you go for mass market, you need to talk B2B, you need to talk grocery, and you need to talk volume. I mean, we plan a pilot now. Pilot is like a couple of tons per month. If you, on the other hand, think about big food, a couple of tons is like 50, 60 restaurants. Just walk around your hometown, Charles, and you will see, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of restaurants. And that's basically the scale we need to reach. So if you say big product, talk about 2027.
So Michelin-star restaurants.
Not Michelin-star, normal restaurants, normal food service.
Michelin would be fancy though, like it'd be a good idea because you charge premium prices to them and Michelin are like, hey, we respect the environment now.
Indeed, it is. I think I will have an interesting sales conversation there. And yeah. I mean, you know, Michelin-star customers, they expect to eat exquisite real fish at the moment. And you just see the first Michelin-star restaurant serving alternative proteins. It's still rather rare. So I think if you tell me a restaurant that is easily convinced by this, very happy to talk to the owner or the chef. I tried a couple of times, didn't work yet.
Yeah, and I think it really need to have a very, very premium product. And well, the chefs, they can make miracles with whatever you put. Michelin star chef, that is, they can have miracles with whatever you put in front of them. But yeah, I would see that as a potential source. And you charge really premium prices, or you branch out like your best batch, for example, and you sell it to them. But yeah, these folks are reachable. I'm having some on my podcast, the owners of these restaurants and so forth. Hendrik, thank you for the time today. Where can people find out more about you?
Well, definitely on our website, essentiafoods.co. And I'm attending most of the important food tech conferences and startup conferences. So find me on LinkedIn, drop me a message. Happy to connect.
That was Hendrik Cay and Charles Cormier for another Founder Wisdom Podcast.com.